Morning, can you hear me? Okay, great. Looks like the entire interwebs is having technical issues this morning, so hopefully can get Gordon on shortly. Um, yeah, Sunday morning. We'll see what's going on. Morning, Tommy, or afternoon. Are you stateside yet? See what's going on here. Oh, right on. It's gonna be what, like a 9-hour flight, not including all the customs border stuff. Sorry, 1 second while I sort things out with. Hey, good morning, Paul. Sorry, just okay. That's a long day, Tommy. Whew. Or good afternoon, Paul. Yeah, I think we got Gordon sorted. Give him a minute. Okay, almost there. I wonder if I can get better lighting here. Um, Hi, Madeline. Yeah, as much as this Venomized Gambit is such a strange um, thing to do, it's actually it's been really fun to pay him. It's taking forever. Oh, and looks like we've got Gordon ready to go. Let me add him.
Hey, sorry about that.
No worries.
No worries. I was wondering why I couldn't go anywhere. It was just stuck at that screen.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
Instagram dog.
Instagram dog.
Ooh, getting an
Getting
echo.
an echo.
Mm.
Okay, so what's been going on? The
Not much.
Not much.
I got
I got
have an
have an
echo,
echo.
okay.
or is it
Or
just
is it
me?
just me?
Can anyone
Can
else
anyone
hear an
else hear
echo?
an echo?
Is that? Can you still hear me? Is that better?
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
hear
I
you
can hear
fine.
you fine.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'm
echoing.
echoing.
Okay, hang
Okay,
on.
hang on.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Let's see.
Okay, I switched my audio. See if that would help.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. No echo. I don't know. Every time this changes. All right. Well, I'm glad we finally got to do this. We are live, by the way.
Yeah.
I got a couple of people watching. Paul Hill says hi, Gordo. Hope you know Paul.
Hey, Paul. Yeah, Paul. Me and Paul have we've kind of gotten to know each other pretty well since we both started working on sketch cards at the same time.
Oh,
It's
nice.
really, yeah, it's really funny. Some people say that our art is very similar, and we all, whenever we hear that, we always kind of laugh about that.
You do have similar styles, but there's distinct features
Yeah,
or approaches that you can like.
both very like animation inspired and cartoony kind of thing. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna do a Cyclops card today.
Okay. There's no real like um, purpose or target, right?
Nope,
Just
just for
drawing
fun.
whatever. Yeah, and then we'll kind of shoot the shit for a bit,
Yep, sounds
like
good.
distortion and so on. I've seen like recently you've been, or maybe not recently, just depending on how the Instagram algorithms kick around, but you've been a lot more active on YouTube the last what, like little while, right?
Yeah, so I started my YouTube channel about, I guess it's been about 3 months now. And the first couple months, I just posted like two videos and I didn't know what I was doing. And I still don't know what I'm doing, but I kind of have been trying to get into a habit of posting regularly there. I've wanted to do that for the last 2 years. And it's like at the beginning of every year, I kind of set a couple goals that I want to do in the next year. And that one's been out there for a little while. And the main thing I wanted to do was I just kind of was thinking like, what would a younger me who was, looking for stuff, what would they want? And so that's what I've been trying to do. So
Yeah,
it's
because
been
you
kind
do
of fun.
tutorials, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was watching, what
It's
was it? Iron Man? Was it the Iron Man one?
yeah,
Talking about how
y-
the hand is structured.
yeah. So yeah, I decided like what I'm gonna try and do is like on Mondays do like how I draw certain characters and just kind of go through that and talk through that and then other random stuff. Because I mean, I don't know a whole lot about drawing. I know what I know and how the stuff that I can pass along to other people. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to do. But a lot of people when I joined TikTok started asking me to draw certain characters. So I felt like this was like a good medium to actually explore that
Mm-hmm.
because 15-second videos, you can only do so much. And you probably know this too on social media. Most of the people that follow you are probably other artists.
Yeah, it's for like I'm pretty much exclusively on Instagram. That's really the only place I push, and I'd say about half my followers are artists,
Yeah.
and then the other half are kind of random people. Um, and then on YouTube, I don't know. I used to do YouTube a lot for a year and a half. Like every Sunday, I do a sketching video, and
Mm-hmm.
then I built up a few hundred followers, and I stopped for a while. And then now that I'm doing these live streams with the StreamYard thing, which lets me post it there as well, some content's going both places. But I'm not like heavily doing anything.
Yeah.
They're just kind of just storing the videos. And if you look at my library on my YouTube channel, there's a lot of videos there. I was looking the other day. I was like, oh man, I did this like every Sunday for a year and a half.
Well, that's awesome though. Even though, like, even if you weren't really doing it for any particular reason, that's still a great exercise because you build up that consistency and actually
Yeah,
doing something, putting something out there, and that's huge.
yeah. And I mean, I can't say that. Oh, I know when I stopped. When the YouTube changed their monetization and their
Mhm.
partnership requirements, when they changed all the rules like a year and a half ago. Not that, making big bucks off the 3 ad impressions I was getting a month, but it just kind of bugged me because I spent all that time building an audience and building content, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, you're not good enough to be."
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean because I remember when all that happened and I hadn't started a channel yet. But I mean, part of the draw of YouTube is being able to get big enough where you can just, make a little ad money if you ever got big enough. That's part of the draw to it. But
Yeah,
it
for sure.
totally, when they changed all that, it was really demoralizing because it's like they almost make these ridiculous benchmarks for you to reach as a small creator. And it's demoralizing. You just kind of like want to give up.
Yeah, because I mean, what are you supposed to do to build that audience, that minimum audience? Hey, good morning, Brian. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it was never a plan. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make a career out of doing YouTube videos. But
right.
yeah. But you're big on TikTok, right? I can't wrap my head
Yeah,
around that, but I see your stuff come in. You get like hundreds of likes and comments, and I don't know the views, but you're very active on TikTok.
yeah, that kind of the reason I got on TikTok was because of Gary Vee. That's how I started on TikTok because that's all he talked about. Man, I'm having trouble with this. I can't get this right. So I I was listening to him for a long time and he kept talking about how organic reach on TikTok was huge. And finally I decided, hey, I'm going to do this. And I posted videos here and there, but then when I started posting consistently is when it really started to actually grow. But it's like anything else. Instagram used to be like that too. And then they started changing the algorithm and it became more of like, pay for promotion, stuff like that. And I mean, it's natural because it's a free app and they have to make their money. But
Yeah.
t- TikTok's going to go that way eventually. But yeah,
Um,
it's been
I mean,
cool.
hey, good morning, Scarlett. So sorry to change topic. One of the kind of semi-regular viewers, Brian Rust, and he watches with, I'm not sure how old she is. Got his little daughter, Scarlett, and she's a huge fan of watching people draw.
Oh, nice.
It's
That's
the sweetest
awesome.
thing. So I would say, hi, Scarlett. Um,
How are you doing, Scarlett? That's cool. Um, yeah, do you know Harold George on Instagram?
what's his handle? Hero
Hero
Art?
artist? Yeah,
Yes, I
Hero
chat
art.
with him. Yes, he's great.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude. So he I talk with him a lot too, and he'll jump in my YouTube live streams out every now and then, and his son likes to watch too. So it's always cool that when he comes in and it's like, hey, can you give a shout out to Levi? And he loves it.
Yeah, he's got the Horror Network. That's kind of his
Yeah.
brand that he does on YouTube.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was just chatting with him. I think it was Sim. I'm still kind of half asleep, so I can't
Oh, I
remember
don't
what
blame
we
you.
talked about. I think it was Sim. Just kind of getting him into some of the Facebook groups because I noticed he's not there. But
Yeah.
he's great. I'm gonna try to get him to do one of these too. Oh, Scarlett's 4.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
a soon to be 4-year old and a
oh,
7-year old.
well, keeping you busy.
Yeah, I know. So are you working on any upper deck projects at the moment? I know we can't talk about them, but I
Yeah, so I
guess.
have one upper deck. What's the wording? Working on one upper Marvel project with Upper Deck. Well, I just finished one, so I got to ship those out tomorrow morning, and there's another one coming in sometime soon. Um,
Cool. Yeah, I got
and
one
then
that's
there's
supposed to be. coming sometime.
Yeah, I could probably guess what it is.
Yeah.
Um, some kind of they're smaller projects, and the last one I did was 100 cards.
Hmm.
Um, but that one we had a nice window to work on it. Kind of then we got a little extended because of COVID and all that, and then we got these two other ones going. So it's all right. It's good. It's nice to see that
I like.
things are getting somewhat back to normal.
Yeah. They seem like maybe the timelines have been changed, but they still seem to like they're trying to kind of keep the projects rolling. So that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, they gotta stay in business, right?
Right. Yeah.
So one of the other watchers, Tommy, his daughter Madeline wants to know if either one of us have done any Psylocke recently.
Hmm.
I have, but I can't show it. Um, yeah, nothing that I can show. But
The
Psylocke
last,
is a staple character for me.
yeah. I have not drawn her in a while. The last time I drew her was on the Deadpool set.
But that
Uh,
recently dropped, didn't it?
well, that was, I think it came out the beginning of 2019.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. They all kind of run together at this point. It seems like they go from one to the next.
Or maybe it just came on EPAC recently.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
So how many sets have you worked on so far? The
Um,
one that you can
oh,
talk
so
about.
I have an interesting story about the first set that I worked on. So the first set that I worked on was Marvel Premiere 2017,
All right.
which I'm coming to find that a lot of artists that I come into contact with, that was their first set. But
Yes.
yeah, like that was Paul's first set also.
And Jay Landau was his first. I think Michael Monshaw, that was his first. Um, a few other people. I think that's kind of when maybe they did a new roster or they really started actively recruiting new
Yeah,
people.
I think so because that was kind of one of those things where I didn't I didn't reach out to them. They reached out to me.
And how did they
And
find you? Was it
yeah,
just like,
it was just on Instagram. So I had my email posted on Instagram, and one day I randomly got an email from Zach asking me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, heck yeah.
yeah, sign
You
me
know,
up?
because I grew up collecting the cards before they had sketch cards. Like Marvel Masterpieces 92 and 93 and
Oh
Fleer
yeah.
Ultra and all that stuff. So like I was aware of all of it, and it was like, I mean, this is really cool. And it's funny because I had actually found out about sketch cards from Instagram. I saw other artists posting them, and I was like, man, how do I get into this? I reached out to a couple other artists, and they couldn't really give me any information. They weren't very helpful, but they kind of told me that you could submit it to the website or whatever. And so like I was at that point I wasn't very confident, and I was super nervous about it, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this. And I was just kind of holding myself back. And then right around that same time, he just happened to email me. So it kind of was like a blessing in disguise that I didn't have to go through with it. And he just found me. But it kind of helped me after that to have the confidence to apply to like other companies like Cryptozoic. I mean, oops, I guess I shouldn't have said that.
No, it's okay. It's all right. It's not a bubble. I think the only kind of rule is to work on a Marvel thing, but we can talk about anything.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so you've done bombshells, I think.
Yes,
Was that what you've done?
I did Bombshells Series 2 and Series 3. And Series 2, I really hate my art on that set. I was not at the time, and I'm still not great, but I'm not very good at drawing female characters. So like that was like one of the biggest challenges I've had since doing all this. And it was great because it forced me to get better.
Right.
That's what a lot of these projects have done. It's just like being on those tight timelines and having to be really efficient and things like that. it even, it's just been a huge growth thing.
Yeah, I know. I had a stream the other day with Jalen and Michael Monshon. We're talking about that, about the um, as artists, aspiring artists, cartoonists, illustrationists, whatever you want to, whichever label you want to put on whatever it is that we do. The beauty of working on sketch cards, um, definitely not the financial gains, but
Right.
uh, it's the structure and the working with a deadline, um, and having to um, kind of work on somebody else's guidelines.
Yeah.
Right, it gives
That-
you some structure and it's great practice. I mean, I think
yeah.
you posted a couple of days ago on Instagram. You're showing something from 18 months ago, right? And then I can't remember what it was. Was it Spider-Man or
Oh
something?
yeah, it was. I think it was that Iron Spider sketch card in my
Yeah,
story.
what it looked like 18, like your version of it from 18 months ago and your version of it from a more recent one. And there's nothing wrong with the older one. It's just you can definitely see maturity in the style and
Right.
confidence in the line work and the color and everything else. So now doing a set 20, 30, 50, 100 cards, it does force you to, add an extra whatever amount of time it takes you per card, um, to your practice runs, right?
Yeah. And yeah, Paul, I was doing fan art sketch cards before. Yes, I was. I had started doing some, but right before that, I was doing some a lot of like Batman stuff and things like that for sketch cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, back I forgot I was talking about the premiere 2017. So that came at an interesting time in my life. I was studying for the CPA exam. One of my brothers was getting ready to get married. I just had a whole bunch of stuff going on, but I was still like, I was like, I'm gonna do this because this is such a cool opportunity, and who knows if I'll get another chance, like not knowing at the time. And so I
All right.
did it, submitted it, everything. I got my approvals back, no rejections. And this was after I think the physical product had already been released. So I had assumed it was just going to go to EPAC. I don't even remember how I found out about EPAC, but I did. So I went to EPAC, and then checked the checklist, and I was nowhere to be found. I was so disappointed.
Oh no.
So my cards, none of them ever got pulled for that first set, and I don't even know if they ever even got included. But I got paid for all of them, so at least I got paid. But I'm sitting here wondering what happened. Like, what happened to any of my cards? I did all this work, and that's like the big payoff is people finding your cards and seeing your cards
Yeah.
pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
And I emailed Zach a few times. I was like, what's going on? And I never got a response, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
It was so disappointing, though. I was so upset about it. And then right after that, I got an invite for the Black Panther set. So I worked on that one. It was a little different story. And most of the ones I got put on were movie sets
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you did
until Deadpool.
Endgame, Far From Home,
Yeah,
um,
Endgame, Far From Home,
Dark.
Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Let's see if
Did you
I don't know if there's
do
been any other movie ones besides that. I haven't done any of the Netflix ones.
did you do Premiere 19?
Yes, I did Premiere 19. I let's see. Trying to
Masterpiece
remember.
18? Were you on Masterpieces?
Uh
The 18 one?
18? Not
Yeah,
18.
no? Okay.
Not 18, but uh
We're gonna, assuming there is another Masterpiece set, maybe.
yeah. Assuming. So yeah, I'm trying to go through my blanks right now because I keep a drawer full of my blank cards underneath my desk. So trying to see
Oh,
if
I
I
need to
missed
tell one.
any. Okay, so Marvel Studio MCU, the first 10 years. That was another one. Um, and I don't know. I mean, this set's technically already out, so I guess I can say that I worked on it. But I did sketch cards for Marvel Weekly also.
Okay. Oh, you just didn't get cleared to announce it?
Well, I think that's a gray area because I can't share my art, but the set's out, so I'm assuming it's okay to say that I worked on it.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either, but yeah.
I
So I
have
don't even know
sets
how the
that,
sketch card. Yeah,
yeah, I have sets that haven't been cleared yet, but the cards are popping up on eBay. So I'm like, okay. As soon as I see a card pop up somewhere that somebody else posted, I'll share
yep,
it. But I still haven't shared like
right.
my entire end game submissions, just a couple of them that people
You
already
never
saw.
got clear. You never got cleared for Endgame.
No, I got, oh, I got, I think there was one that was rejected like months ago and said, okay, well, you can't post on it until you're cleared. So, like, okay, whatever.
That's strange because yeah, that set's definitely been released. I think
I think
somebody's.
most of mine are going to be in e-pack.
Oh, okay. I've seen a few of my Endgame cards pop up, but not too many.
Brian says someone at the top really liked your cards and kept your entire set for premiere.
Yeah, must have been.
Yeah, 10 years from now, some guy's going to retire from Upper Deck and show his private collection. It's going to be all Gordon Wells cards.
Well, the funny thing about that is that was the first set I worked on, and like looking back at those pictures, I absolutely hate them. That's how that works.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, maturing the style and, getting better at the craft. You look at your older stuff and you're like, oh man, shouldn't have
Yep.
done that.
hmm And that's exactly what it is. You don't really you're not consistent. You don't know what you're doing, and like the consistency of quality just doesn't always carry over until you work at it.
Yeah. And this is what comes back to, you putting in the time, right? Like
Right.
anything, if you're gonna uh, build a cabinet, sure, the first cabinet you're gonna build is gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
You build 20, 30 more cabinets, and it's gonna become better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Paul says that a few people got clearance on Endgame.
Okay. So I know I
He
did.
reached out to Ollie and passed it on to the group.
I'm pretty sure I did. At least I think so. I lose track now. I know that
Yeah,
it's out, and once it gets released, and if I get paid for it and I get paid the full amount, then I kind of just do the math and figure out that they all got approved. But
there's one
they're
set that
sometimes
I
they're so
never.
slow at getting back to you. You don't really have any
Yeah,
any choice, I guess.
I can't remember what set it is. It might be Premiere, the last Premiere. I never got approvals. I just got paid. So, and I didn't get paid a full amount. I think it was two, like minus two cards. Um, Actually, I don't even know because I did dual panels and standard inserts. So I don't know if maybe a dual panel got rejected or two standards. So I've never really fully shared my Premiere um, submissions, but that's sold out. They're gone. So we'll see.
Yeah. Did you work on separate sections of that, like separate waves of Premiere 19?
No, I only worked on what I'm learning is the second wave.
Okay.
I know that there was a third wave, um,
So,
and I couldn't get them all done.
uh-huh.
So I said I only did half of them. And I think it was Zach at the time. I told him like, hey, I can't do this many. I'll try, but I don't know if I can do that because they only gave me like 3 weeks to do 40 doubles and 20 singles.
Mm,
There's no
brutal.
way. So then I did like half of them, mailed them out, and then I guess that's when wave three hit. And he emailed me back a few days later saying, "Hey, if you can do the rest of them, I can give you another 3 weeks." So,
Yeah, I had trouble with that too. The first group that I worked on is the same thing. I didn't have enough time and I did my best, but I didn't finish them all. I finished like all but five, and it just I wasn't overall happy with them. And I
Mm,
ended up working on the EPAC release too, or well, what was mostly all EPAC. The second one kind of went to both, but so I did that and I was much happier. But what happened was they sent me my approvals, and first of all, they put the wrong name in the copy and paste little thing that they send you. It was the right cards, but it was the wrong name. And I had done for that wave, I did five triple panels, maybe 10 doubles or 20 doubles, and 10 of the single cards. And none of the single
yep.
cards were included in the scan, even though I sent them all of those, shipped everything in, and they still haven't paid me for those. Like I keep asking them about that. They still haven't paid me for those, and they never got back to me about what happened with the cards. It's crazy. I haven't seen any of them pop up though, so maybe they did disappear.
That's still disappointing.
Yeah, nothing surprises me anymore though.
Yeah, in this day and age, are you honestly surprised of anything?
Well, and there was also around that time, Upper Deck had some turnover because Michael left, and he was my point on Marvel Premiere. So I'm not really surprised that I wouldn't be surprised to find out that like there was just something got dropped in between him leaving and transferring over whatever he was working on, because that seems to be the issue. Because now like nobody knows what I'm talking about, and he was the one I was dealing with. So just got to deal with it.
Yeah,
If we were doing this strictly for money, it'd be one thing I'd be more upset about it. But kind of being around for a couple years now and knowing how it works.
yeah. Yeah, there's the joy of it, but I mean, there is some revenue, right, with the APs
Yeah.
and the just the exposure that comes out of it with collectors. Um, Speaking of which, are you have APs? You're open to do stuff?
I have tons of APs. I'm not actively trying to commission them at the moment, just because I'm having fun doing whatever I'm doing. But if anybody is interested, yeah, they can definitely message me, and we can talk about it. I just, I don't know. I'm trying not to take on too much work at the moment because I'm trying to do stuff like build a website and work on YouTube and that other stuff. So
Right.
I'm just trying not to overwhelm myself, because I know when a couple sets ago when I was also doing 100 cards, it was easy to get overwhelmed and do only that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely open to it if people are interested. But I've got APs from Black Panther, Marvel Premiere 17. Basically every set I've worked on, I still have APs left.
Well,
I've
well,
only I've only sold a couple, I think. Sold a Deadpool, a Marvel Premiere, and Spider-Man Far From Home. And the rest I still have.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of collectors out there who like I think I mentioned one of our chats that your name comes up just
Oh,
in
really?
conversations. Yeah, and they're like, oh, I really like this Will's whatever it is, right? And then it's like, well, I
That's
don't really
cool.
see him post much, right? But yeah, you have a following, so um,
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that stuff. It's just I haven't put too much time into it yet, just because there's so much that I feel like I'm trying to do at the same time, and I'm trying not to
yeah,
overwhelm myself because
yeah,
I've been
for
there
sure.
before and I know how it feels, and I don't want to burn out.
Yeah, I get that. You got to pace yourself.
Yep. And I do have some APs from other sets too. And the way that Cryptozoic used to work is they used to make you send them in and get stickers put on them. So like those are ones I actually have done, but I prefer commissioning them like on the Marvel sets because it you get what you want and
Oh, so with those with Cryptozoic, it doesn't work that way. You can't just do whatever you want.
it used to. So the first set that I worked on, they sent me the AP stickers to put on the ones that I wanted to designate my artist proofs. And after that, I had to scan them and then they just let me know if they were approved or not. And so I guess people were abusing that. And so what happened the next time was they made you send them in and they would send them back to you and put the stickers on for you.
Oh,
And I decided not to do that. And well, Steven Universe, I did do that. And I got my cards back. But I decided not to do it for the last two, and there's a reason for that. The reason for that is because they basically quit communicating with everyone, and it was hard getting payment from them for like a year.
oh,
So we don't have a lot of leverage as artists when those situations come up.
no.
Like the only leverage we do have is those blank cards. So I decided to hold them as an insurance policy at this point.
Is there an expiration window on them? Like you have to get them into them by
Yes.
like that?
Yeah, they do. Um, it's a lot. It's actually a lot more strict than upper decks. It's I think it's like 60 or 90 days after the set releases.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's
But
tight.
yeah, but they tell you that on the front end when you start working on it. So like whenever the due date, so they may give you a set in like April and it's not due till August. And basically they'll tell you like, you can go ahead and like start trying to commission them if you'd like to. So it's not like you're not allowed to talk about it. You're not supposed to publicly say it, I guess, but I don't know. It's just a little different.
Yeah, I haven't worked with any other publisher, so I don't know what um
Ha- have you worked with Tops or anybody else?
no, I've just been upper deck. Um
Me
I
too,
I
other than
emailed the
crypto.
top thing twice, nobody ever responded. Um and I honestly, I mean, similar situation as you. I don't want to overwhelm myself. I mean, with the whole Corona stuff, I had oodles of free time, but things are starting to get a little kind of back to normal on in my work life.
Right.
So I'm starting to get a little pressed for time now. So, like, if I get a Star Wars set tomorrow, I probably would pass.
Huh.
Like, I
So
just don't know how I would do it.
yeah, the thing about Tops is like Star Wars is like, it's really appealing, but my issue with it is it seems like they mostly want realism and you're basically just drawing scenes from the movies and that's not what I want to do. Because I would love to
Right.
do a Star Wars set, but I don't want to do that. It's just not fun. And they don't pay you enough for it to not be fun.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do a Darth Vader in your style, or a Boba Fett, or a Yoda, or whatever, but
Right.
your take on it.
And now they did do a TMNT set a while back, and I tried to get on that. I emailed somebody, but it was just like some kind of box, and they never responded to me. But that would have been really fun.
Oh yeah, I've seen some people post, um, but it seemed to be very limited.
Yeah, they had some interesting cards in that set. Like there were some that were shaped like turtle shells.
Yeah, 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 I remember that now. Who worked on that?
Oh,
It's
I'm trying to
someone
think
like
too.
that
It's
with
it's been a while.
was it horror?
I don't think he did.
No.
Brian Gordon is fast. Everybody tells me that, and I don't
Yeah,
know
you're
why.
you do bang that out. Like I'm extremely slow. I'm not gonna deny it. But like look at that. I haven't looked up too much, but like you did that from pretty much start to finish in the last half hour, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's because whenever I work on these sets, what happens is when I'm waiting for cards to ship out, I start pre-planning like the first handful of cards. And the way I do it in my sketchbook is I'll do like the same like this pose right here is basically the same thing that I did here, but I've probably drawn it 5 times already by the time I actually get the card out and start drawing on the card. So
Hmm.
it just makes it easier.
Yeah, because then you've already, to your point, you've already drawn it a few times, and
Yeah.
you
Of course, there's a
did all the.
downside to that too, because when you're just sketching, you're a lot looser and it usually comes out better. But everybody has that problem. Sometimes the sketch is better than the
Yeah,
finished
that's
piece.
true.
I wish we could do just kind of like black and white sketches on some of these sets too. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, like they did the first few set, but I think those might have been through. Was it Cryptozoic? No. Who had the license before Upper Deck? Um, oh, their
Uh,
name. No,
there was Rittenhouse for a
Rittenhouse.
while.
Yeah, they did a lot of black and whites, and it was just like black and white or ink or even some just straight out pencil stuff.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the older masterpieces, like I think it was like 2008 or something like that. Some people did those in color and some people didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it was mandated.
Right. I when I first started working on these sets, that was one of the things that I did. Paul knows this because he did it too, and he pointed me in the direction with some of them. But I found some artists that are, bigger artists, more well known that like work in comics that were doing these things. And I would go look at theirs and see what they did. And it was really cool to see.
Yeah, because they did have um, again, names escape me right now, but they were like big names on one set on a couple of sets that did the sketches.
It was pretty
Um,
cool to see. And like back then too, like 2008, there's some artists like Sean Galloway and John Sumariva, and they've both, done comics and other things since then. But it's like kind of cool to see them like banging out sketch cards, and it gives you, the just the ideas, like look what they did and look where they are now. Like you could totally do that if you put in the work, and it's just kind of like a cool incentive.
yeah, I mean, I guess sketch cards can be the gateway drug to a career in the comic book industry.
Well, I can't remember his name, but there's another guy too that started doing the Star Wars ones, and now he works on like I think he does like some of like the kids books illustrations for some of the DC stuff maybe.
Oh wow,
But I looked into him and saw that like he started doing Star Wars sketch cards and kind of just built from there. So it's possible.
well, Brian Rust wants the your sketch page.
Oh my gosh. If people are legitimately interested in these sketch pages, oh, I would be happy to get rid of them. They're everywhere.
Hit him
So
up,
I start
Brian.
I I fill a sketchbook probably every 3 months or so. And in 2000, yeah, I told you about the how I like to set the goals at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
And for this year, a YouTube channel was one. Um, there's a web comic with a buddy that I've been working on. It's not superhero related, so I disappoint anyone, but is something like that. Then there was a couple other things, and one of the other things that I wanted to do is I wanted to work on an art book. And it's not necessarily I'm not going to make an art book and print it and try and sell it at conventions because it's cost prohibitive and who knows how many I would actually sell. But my idea was it's a project I want to be able to do. I want to have something at the end, and I figured it's something I could at least do a PDF version of. So, I could put it on my website if people wanted to buy it, but then maybe later on down the road, I could try and crowdfund it if I got enough of a following.
oh yeah,
And so I started drawing more on just like straight copy paper and doing stuff like this because a lot of these things I'm going to kind of take and theme out and repurpose and turn those into the pages of the book
right.
because those are the kind of like art books that I really like. I have probably 5 or 6 different art books from different artists that I like, and a lot of the stuff that I really love in their books is their really sketchy stuff and like their bare bones like figure building and all that kind of stuff. It has like some of their commissions and stuff in there too, but I like seeing all the sketchy stuff. So that's kind
Yeah,
of one of my goals, at least just to
I
start on
think,
that this year.
yeah, I think as artists, we like to see the process more than
Yes.
the final result. Like I want to, like I know when I look at people's work, and I love watching process videos, is the creative problem solving and how you approach, or how any other artist approaches the structure, the color, um, and just the full process of it. So seeing a sketchbook where you see the bare bones, like you have your sketch page there of various cyclopses, whatever. um, it's like, okay, looking at that, it's like I can get an understanding of how you conceive the piece.
Right. Yeah. And that's a lot of the things that I talk about in a lot of my YouTube videos to try and get younger artists to understand is like you're not, especially when you're young, a lot of way you learn is you just try and draw from other people's art. You
Yeah.
just, find a comic book or whatever, and you're just trying to draw what you see, but you don't see all the underlying stuff. You just see the finished work. So I try and talk about that a lot when I'm doing the videos because I think it would help people to understand that part of it. It kind of unlocks things earlier. Like if you know how to, build up the figure with like the different shapes, when you see somebody else's finished art, you can almost do that in your mind. You can kind of break down the bigger sections of it into different shapes. And that was something that took me forever to learn.
Yeah, because if you understand how something works, then you can
Oh,
start manipulating it.
sorry about that. Yeah, exactly. It's like
Oh,
basically reverse engineering.
yeah. So you have a whole different set on the back of that paper?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah, turn it around. Let's
yeah.
see.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just started using copy paper just to do like sketches and stuff. And I actually was streaming last night on TikTok for a little while, and I was talking about that. Somebody asked me about like some anatomy questions, so I just did like some basic stuff to show them. And then somebody asked me to draw Deadpool, so I just drew a Deadpool real quick at the end. So that's what that is. I was looking to see if there was any space on the back because I was going to flip it over. But yeah, I'm gonna get another blank sheet and maybe start working on something else for a little bit. Just I don't know about Psylocke, but we'll see. I, I did a lot of sketching last night.
But see, you said you're not comfortable with the females. Yeah, I'm looking at, I can't tell who, I mean, the character could be
Yeah, it's just a
brought to them,
random
but that's,
female.
yeah, but that could be one of a handful of characters, but there's nothing wrong with that sketch.
Well, yeah, and thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. But really, what I meant was, I mean, I'm still not comfortable with it because I do males a whole lot more. But when I did that first bombshell set at the beginning, some of those cards I see them pop up on eBay, and they look really rough to me. Now,
Oh,
in Series 3, I felt I was a lot more consistent and it looked a lot better. So, like, that was more just talking about how these sketch card sets help you improve because it
yeah.
was just the repetition. That at that time, that was I think it was 105 cards I had to do. So that was the biggest one at the time I had worked on. And just doing it over and over. And bombshells, there's maybe 10 male characters, maybe. So it's mostly females you're going to be drawing.
Right.
And it really helped.
So how does bombshells work? Is that they give you a list of characters you're supposed to do?
Yeah. So they work a little differently. They actually email you or they email you these attached documents that kind of tell you what the rules are and everything. And it's like a Dropbox file you get. And it actually is really nice how they do it. They have a list of all the characters that you're allowed to do. And it was a big group for bombshells, but they also have a reference file. So it has one or two pictures of each character.
Oh,
And that was great for bombshells because when I started looking for references for bombshells, they were really hard to find other than Wonder Woman, Batgirl, Black Canary, like the big ones. But they were hard to
Yeah.
find. I actually had to go to the store and buy one of the trade paperbacks just to get some good reference work.
Yeah, to see how the costume is and what
Yeah.
how the character moves and poses.
But by the time the third set came out and I was working on that, I mean, Bombshells was much bigger and they had all kind of products everywhere, like Funko Pops and all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff everywhere. But yeah, they tell you what to draw, and they actually are a little more lax with some things than Upper Deck and Marvel are. But
exactly.
it was an interesting thing to work on because it was like a period thing. You had to draw them in their style, and the Bombshells universe is like an alternate 30s and 40s universe. So it was really cool.
I see. I had no idea.
Yeah, I learned a lot about it, but I can't say that the stories were great, but the art was really cool, and it was just kind of neat to see these different styles from these characters. Like they all had these really, it was like pinup almost for a lot of them,
Yeah.
and they had a lot of really cool hairstyles. That's what I liked, was the cool hairstyles.
Now, is the Bombshells um is like an independent artist that kind of did some fan stuff and then they turned it into a whole franchise, isn't it? Or am I
I'm not
confusing
sure
it?
about that.
I might be confusing it with something else.
I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Oh, another cool thing about the bombshell sets, this never happened for any of my cards, but for each of this, I don't know how compensation worked for this, but for each of the successive sets, so like they did series one, series two, series three, and so in series two, they turned some of the sketch cards from series one into base cards. So they were like, you know, reproductions of them, which I thought was really
Oh,
neat. And they did that again for series three, but none of my cards ended up getting in it.
but that's a nice incentive for the artist,
Oh yeah.
knowing that that could happen.
Hmm.
He kind of put in that extra um or go that extra mile and to get the
Yeah,
work done.
unfortunately, I don't think that there's going to be a Bombshells 4. At least it doesn't appear that way, based on
Mm.
Cryptozoic's um, status.
Yeah, well, everything on that side of the comic book world is a little unclear right now.
They also had the Rick and Morty license, and I worked on season three of Rick and Morty. Um, they they kind of rushed it out, and I think it was because they were getting ready to lose the license. This is all just speculation, but they rushed out the release of the season three set, and they actually gave us incentives as artists. Like they changed the deadline, they moved it up like a month. They didn't require you to finish it by that time, but they said, hey, if you finish it by this date, we'll give you X number of extra artist proof cards. And so they gave you
Oh,
an incentive to finish early. And I ended up getting like 5 extra artist proof cards because I just busted them out.
and was that a set where you had to follow their style guide, or did you have the
No,
flexibility to do things on your own?
you don't have to. And they say in the rules for something like that, they're like, you are allowed to like recreate scenes, or basically some people will just like freeze the TV and copy a scene straight up on a card.
Right.
And I mean that's kind of boring, but it is easy, and you know, don't get paid much to do this. So I can imagine a lot of people did that, but no, you could do it in your own style. It was perfectly fine. And some of the best cards are people just doing it in their own style.
Yeah, and I mean, you're seeing somebody else's take on the IP. And that's for me, and I'm not like I'm trying very, very hard not to get back into collecting because it's
It's hard.
well, that and it's just like an endless. rabbit hole. I really don't want to go there. So I'm there, though I just recently bought some sketch cards, and every now and then I'll pick up some autograph stuff or original art on eBay, but I'm not looking for it. Um, but like as a collector, I personally, I'd be more drawn to, like your take on Rick and Morty, or Rick and
Right.
Morty, in Gordon Will's style, or Wonder Woman in your style, then versus, like you said, with the Star Wars, like a photorealistic picture of Gal Gadot,
Right, where
right?
they all look the same.
They all look the same. Like, I can appreciate the craftsmanship in there and the effort involved,
Absolutely.
but I'm, as a person that appreciates the art, I want to see the creative aspect of it, not the technical, mechanical reproduction of an existing frame.
Yeah. I, that so like on Rick and Morty, and even I did Steven Universe before that, but those things like drawing in your own style on those, that's the art that I love the most. But at the same time, like for me, like getting on something like Rick and Morty, that was like some of the hardest to like break down the walls and do something in my own style because they have such of like a very specific style, and you do second guess like, is this what the collectors want? What do the fans want?
Right.
And it's sometimes it's hard to not draw in a specific style. Like if you're working on like a Simpsons card set, like if you tried to like not draw like the Simpsons, it would be kind of hard to do that. But because you feel like I'll say this, like whenever I draw like an anime character, like Dragon Ball Z or something, I do
They
it
got
in my style, but you still have like the hints of like the anime inspiration. But the problem is it's discouraging because when you do that, people like start going, "Oh, that's not such and such. Or this doesn't look like that." And I've found that particularly in anime fans, they get upset about those kind of things. But
yeah,
um,
they're very peculiar bunch. Like they're very, not in a bad way. They're very true to the original art and the character design.
yeah,
Like, no, I mean that's Sailor Moon's hair needs to be shorter or longer, or Dragon Ball's. Oh, that's not the
yeah,
way Goku's supposed to look.
yeah, they
Um,
were telling me that that's not how they look, and I'm like, look, I can draw however I want. That's what I'm
mhm.
doing. So
That's what it looks like to
you got
me.
to get everybody has to get to that point in their art where they're comfortable with other people not liking it because it's subjective. So, once you get to that point, it's easier to deal with those kind of things. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that comes up in conversations I have with other artists a lot. Is like, okay, at what point, um, or at what point in your career, call it, did you realize that you can't make everyone happy,
Hmm.
and not everyone's going to love your work, and people are always going to criticize, and you can't take it too hard.
Yep.
Mm.
And, that's something that takes some time.
Yeah, for sure.
And you also, there gets to be a point too where, as an artist, you've been doing it long enough that you can tell the difference between like legitimate constructive criticism and just people not liking your art. There is a difference, and you can kind of start to tell there's a difference between certain
Yeah, for
people.
sure. Yeah, to your point, there's constructive criticism, and then there's just straight out opinions.
And a lot of times, if you're good at giving criticism, you know when it's not asked for, and you don't just volunteer it. Also,
Yeah. So you did decide to go for Psylocke.
I did.
Yeah.
I just pulled up a quick reference photo and started sketching. I figured I would give the fans what they want. So
Yeah.
is Scarlett the Psylocke fan or is it Brian?
I think Tommy was asking about originally was asking about
Oh, was it
Psylocke.
Tommy asking about Scarlett? I mean Psylocke.
Yeah, I think it was no Tommy's daughter. Oh, because somebody asked. Let me scroll through. Somebody asked if we either one of us have done Psylocke recently.
Oh,
Um,
Madeline. Okay, yeah, Tommy
yeah.
Madeline. Okay. Oh man, he's not here anymore. He didn't get to see it.
Oh, he'll
Oh
he'll come back
no.
up.
Oh.
Tommy's in Lebanon, so he's on a totally different time zone.
Oh, that's one of the coolest things. I mean, sometimes it just makes logistics hard, but once I started posting on Instagram and meeting other artists, it's so cool to be able to connect with people that they're not anywhere close to you, like time zone wise or distance wise, but it's like you can form these connections and bonds, and it's been really cool.
Yeah. Oh,
Like I was talking
geez, my
about with Paul earlier, like Paul and I have become pretty good friends, and Harold and some other people. So it's been really cool to make some pretty good friends through this.
hang on a second. My video just went stupid. I'm gonna drop out and come back into the stream. This happened
Okay.
yesterday. Uh,
All right. So now it's just going to be free sketch. Just whatever comes into my head, I guess. I don't know that I'm going to have time to do this Psylocke card.
there we go. So what
All
I
right.
the latest? I'm on an Android device. The latest Android update that happened a couple of days ago. Whenever I'm in a stream and I put my phone on do not disturb and silent and whatnot, but if a call or text message where I'm in a stream, it messes up the front facing camera and it looks nice.
Oh,
So, so I gotta drop out and come back, like reconnect.
okay.
Hopefully they fix it soon.
I
Uh,
actually, yeah, I'm on Android too. And last night when I was doing my TikTok stream, I didn't have my phone plugged in, so the battery was just going down. And I have it set to where it gets to 40%, it automatically goes to like power save mode. And it kicked me out in the middle of the thing because it was like the phone was like refreshing.
yeah, you can't do that if you try to live stream.
Yeah, so I had to deal with that, and that just actually reminded me I had accidentally knocked my cord out.
Matt, you work so fast. It's amazing.
I really don't know where that came from either, like why I started doing that.
Like it's so organic and so fluid. Um, yeah, it's great watching it.
I really can't figure out like why I started doing that or what the deal was. And there's kind of a negative to it too. Like sometimes you rush too much, I guess, when it gets to like the more parts of the process where you're inking and coloring, and sometimes you can go too fast. But the sketching part of it, I guess that's just what I find the most fun is the sketching part.
Yeah, it does look like you're enjoying it.
Have you ever, I think I asked this maybe one time in one of your streams, but have you ever been tempted to get one of your cards back when you see it pop up online, if the price is
Uh,
right?
yeah, and I've actually bid on a few of them, but I got outbid. There's one that I might get.
I've
So
been
I'm gonna
I've
do
been
that.
tempted to do that several times, and it's funny. I have a really good friend who he actually started buying up a bunch of my cards on eBay, and I told him when he started doing that, I said, "Hey, You know I don't get paid when you do that, right?
Like, you're not really
But
supporting me here.
yeah, but he actually he bought a couple of them and he gave a couple of them to me. So I thought that was really cool. So I do actually have a couple of them from some of the old sets. But there's
Well,
always
I
been
have
ones where sometimes I see them online. I'm like, man, I would love to have that card back. It was a really good one.
um oh, I want to buy them back to redo them.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, sorry, I was a different direction that you're going in. Yeah, I'm like just some of the older ones, and it's like, ooh, I really rushed that, right? Um, if I could get my hands on it for a reasonable price, and because I do mine in acrylic, so I can always paint over it 100 times if I wanted to,
Yeah.
and then correct it and put it back on eBay for more,
Well, there's
or
that
just hang
too.
on to
I never thought
uh,
about that angle.
where like a remark of your own work.
Yeah.
Like I had an AP that I did, and it wasn't commissioned. I just, for some reason, for Black Panther, I'm just said I'm going to experiment on the APs. So I did no, I did four of them, trying different techniques, different approaches. Sold one of them a ghostwriter. Um, People seem to really like my ghostwriters. So that one sold, no problem. Then the other one, the other three, there was like no response, no engagement whatsoever. So then I put them aside. And like a month ago, I took one of them out, a Cyclops, the one with the X on his face, the Phoenix
Oh
Force.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that card.
And I repainted it. Like I painted over. Like the drawing, there's nothing wrong with the drawing and the composition. It's just the way the technique that I used for the paint to do the original piece. I just didn't like the way it looked. It didn't have the pop or the contrast, and there was some weird textures for the paper. So I just repainted over it. Yeah, sure enough, that sold in like an hour.
That's awesome. So do you sell a lot of yours on eBay?
Actually, I haven't sold anything on eBay. I do most of my stuff through Instagram or Facebook.
Instagram?
Um, and I mean, the collector community's been great. I like not having issues selling stuff, if you will.
Yeah.
Not that I'm actively like pushing anything, but yeah, I just couple of groups on Facebook, um, and occasionally on Instagram. But what I find most often than not is somebody will just DM me and say, "Do you have APs?"
Yeah, that's how I've sold mine so far. One was to another artist who just has a collection of a bunch of different artists. Then there was one I sold to a guy who had bought a lot of my art at uh, a convention I went to. It's just kind of been like a repeat thing. He's bought a lot of stuff from me. I did one for him, and then the other was just some random person that DM'd me out of the blue.
All right.
So yeah, it's interesting how that comes about sometime. I've posted in some of the sketch card groups before, just stuff that I had a long time ago, some of the bombshell stuff, but that's the only time I've really posted about it.
Yeah, there's some. I guess depends on the groups. There's some groups that I'm in that all I'm seeing is artists trying to sell their stuff, like
Yeah.
post after post after post. Oh, I have this for sale. I have this for sale. It's like, well, if everyone's selling stuff, is nobody really buying here?
Yeah, yeah, those groups I tend to not post in either because it's that situation. And it's like I'm sure if it's kind of like getting to me, I'm sure other people are thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So there's no need for it. Um, but yeah.
Oh, there was another thing I was going to bring up, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh, it was the movie sets. So when you work on the movie sets, do you tend to stick to the characters that have been introduced in the MCU, or do you branch out and
Nope.
just do whoever you want?
No, I want to draw X-Men.
Okay.
I want to be on a. I want it to be on Fleer Ultra X-Men so bad. Oh, and
Oh,
there,
me
I think
too.
there's another X-Men set coming on. I just like I can't get an X-Men set, so I'm just drawing mutants. I can't remember. Somebody made a comment from Black Panther. Oh, like Ghost Rider and Black Panther. A collector saying like, why is there a Ghost Rider and a Black Panther stock? might
Yeah.
answer like, why isn't there more?
Yeah. Some people are
Uh,
like sticklers about that, but
yeah,
you know, it's I see it all the time. Like Venom shows up on almost every set, and I don't have a problem with it. It's cool. But I was
no.
just curious what you did because the reason that I stick to mostly MCU is because when it first started, I was like really nervous. Like I was like, oh, they're gonna reject all this. I got to do this, and I just have kept it up.
Um, yeah, I'm just kind of like there's staple characters. Like Venom's my go-to. Um, like even for the last big set I did, I think almost 10%, no, yeah, 10% of the cards that I did are Venom or Venomized characters. Um, so I'll do Venom whenever I can. I
That's
find them
pretty cool.
easy, like easy to do. Not easy is not the right word because it's not easy. Just he's such a forgiving character that I find that I can be a lot more relaxed with the brushstrokes on him. Because nothing really needs to be symmetrical, and the anatomy doesn't have to be 100. Like I try to do more realistic to a certain degree.
Hmm.
Um, like Venom, he's just there's nothing real about him, right? So I can be really loose with him. That's why I like to do that. Plus, a cool looking character.
Yep.
Um, I forget my point. I like to draw Venom. That was my point.
Yeah, I'm with you on the X-Men though. I didn't get on either of the X-Men sets that they've had. So whenever I worked on Premiere and any of the other big group ones like that, I would focus on X-Men and Spider-Man characters. It's like that's my chance to do all the Spider-Man villains, all the X-Men, all that stuff, and just kind of get to let loose.
Is there a character that you absolutely despise doing?
Despise, huh?
Like
So
just
that's interesting because
everyone's got one.
yeah, and I really try not to draw any of them on these actual sets, but I mean, I would say, oh, not this
Like
isn't a
doing a
specific
premiere.
character, but any characters that have a ton of angles and like a bunch of hard edges and so like I drew him one time for Deadpool, Strife, drawing Strife's helmet. I hated
Oh,
every second of
geez.
it. Every second of it. And like stuff like that I don't like at all. Like if I was having to draw Galactus, that would be such a pain in the butt to me because of his
But you
helmet.
do a really good Iron Man.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Iron Man, I kind of made the decision that I was going to go more of like a classic Iron Man.
Oh, right. So it
So
doesn't
that's
have.
kind of why I like drawing him because it's more rounded as opposed to like the hard edges. He's just got like these big old circles everywhere.
Right, right. Okay, I get that.
But yeah, I mean, I could like a lot of times on TikTok, wrong edge. On TikTok, people will ask me to draw Optimus Prime, and I'm like, that's not gonna happen. Sorry. If I could find like a way to just simplify it big time to like more of like a cartoon kind of take, maybe.
Well, maybe if you do the animated series version, like
Yeah,
the 80s, 90s version,
right.
but you
Something that
can't do
doesn't look
the
like a
modern one.
big old machine.
Yeah.
I think part of that, like I draw really fast and I like it like really simple and loose. Like the more detail, the more agonizing it is for me.
Yeah, no, I get that, right? If you have to spend the next half hour drawing in every little crack and fold on his face.
Well, and it's even like simple things sometimes too, like drawing Captain America's shield. I mean, I could get out like a circle template and a French curve and all that stuff, but it takes a lot of time. So I try and just eyeball it when I can, or like put it in like a corner of the card. So you just do like a small part of it.
Yeah.
It's one reason why I like sketch cards is you can kind of cheat with stuff like that. Like, I always like sketching it out beforehand, like a more of what's gonna go on the card. Like I always draw more than what's gonna end up on the card because I don't want to draw to the canvas. I'd rather have like where I'm cropping my image instead of drawing to the card. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Paul saying check out Brian Turner on Instagram. He does a very loose Transformer stuff.
Oh,
Brian,
Brian Turner. Oh wait, yeah, I know who you're talking about. You're right.
no, write that down. Brian.
Brian Turner. He's buddies with Jerry Gaylord, right? He's an animation guy, I think. Those are the guys I tend to follow a lot on Instagram. If they're like pros or bigger accounts, it's usually the animation guys. I always tell people when they ask me like, how did you find your style and all that stuff? I tell them, well, it starts with finding the art that you like, because you're going to draw the type of art that you like to consume. So start there, find your favorite artist, find what you like about it, and start there. And like over time, it's just going to kind of evolve. The more artists you introduce into the mix, the more they're going to influence you, and it'll kind of evolve.
So who's your influences? Could you
I
pinpoint
would
them?
say some of my favorite artists. Okay, so my favorite artist is Sean Galloway,
Oh yeah, he's great.
and I really like Scotty Young. Like his stuff is like straight up like cartoonist, like just like it's so wild. Like I love looking at his stuff. Like I Hate Fairyland was one of my favorite like indie comics that I've read. It was awesome. I like Derek Loffman. He's very similar to Sean, and he's done all the Marvel superhero stuff, like the kid stuff. He did a lot of
Yeah.
the designs for that stuff, and I really like Todd Knock. He's got a really cool art style. And I mean,
Is he still doing is Todd still doing Nightcrawler? That's what he was working on for the longest time, right?
yeah, I don't know if he's still doing that, but I don't actually know what books he's working on at the moment. But I follow like his live streams every now and then and stuff too, and he's a huge X-Men fan. He loves X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a hardcore geek. He cosplays and
Oh
does the
yeah,
whole thing. Yeah.
I love seeing that. When he was doing the Peter B. Parker cosplays, those were awesome.
Yeah. It's weird. I follow him on YouTube, but with the stupid algorithms, he never pops up in my recommended videos. I need to manually watch some of his
Huh.
stuff to tell Google that I still like
Yeah.
him. It
I
was same
usually
thing with
only
James Reyes, the box office artist. I used to watch him all the time, and then he never comes up in my recommendations anymore. And I know I follow him.
yeah, YouTube's doing something with the way that they're, you know, sending you videos. Like all that stuff constantly changes. That annoys me. I get it. They're constantly trying to get better and learn this
Yeah,
stuff, but it annoys me because it's always changing. Like you never know what standards you're being held to or what you have to do to grow, and it just constantly changes.
yeah.
Gwen Stacy for Marvel, last I heard, is what Paul said for Todd Knock. That
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense. That's right. He was doing that Gwen Stacy. I think it was like a mini series or something. That's true. He was posting a bunch of Gwen Stacy stuff, but he's really good about doing Q&As and engaging his
Oh,
audience.
yeah. And he's kind of like the grandfather of the post-it note sketch,
Yeah,
isn't he?
he is.
Like he's the one. Like he did that for a while. All he did was post-it note sketches, and now you see him everywhere. But um, I think, yeah, I don't know if he came up with it, but he definitely made it popular, I would say.
When the pandemic first started, he was doing that a lot, like during the week, and basically encouraging people to join in, and he was sharing all their art. That was awesome. Like he was just kind of getting everybody involved.
Yeah, see again, none of his stuff ever comes up in my recommended videos. I need to catch up, but he was doing it years ago.
do, do you follow him on Instagram too?
No, I really need to. Again,
Okay,
because
because
he doesn't
he
pop up my field of vision, I kind of forgot about him.
Oh yeah.
And
So
another one that I used to really enjoy, who again I need to check who does, is Mark Criley or Mark Crilly, the anime guy.
I don't know if I know him.
He put out like How to Draw Anime, a couple of those books, and now I'm not an anime fan per se. It's just his style of the way he explains things is really good. And whether you like the style in which he draws, because it is definitely anime, or not, it kind of doesn't matter. But he's just a really good instructor, um, and he's really good at explaining his approach and how and why he does things a certain way. So I found his stuff to be very useful over the years.
I'm gonna have to check him out then because that's kind of like that's what I try to do on YouTube. I'm trying to like make it uh relatable for like other people to understand things because that was the biggest thing when I was younger trying to learn to draw and stuff. It's not being able to comprehend what you see in a how to draw book. Like it's great that they can put all these shapes on a page and talk about this, but there was a disconnect between reading that and actually executing it. And that was like the biggest annoying thing to me as a kid reading those books because I couldn't put it together until I got much older and kind of figured some things out. And it was
Right.
all about like how you're presented the information.
Yeah, this is where like it, I wish YouTube and Instagram and all of this was around when I was young, when I was
Hmm.
had the time to learn and um, really kind of. I mean, we live in a world right now that if you want to ask Jim Lee a question, you can, and he
Yes.
answers, right? Like that's or Joe Juice or Alex Ross or Adam Hughes, Julie Bell, any of these guys. These are people that I've talked to on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, right? They don't know who I am per se by name, but I asked them a question and they answered. I wish I had this opportunity when I was 15, 16. It
Yes.
would have been a totally different path. And like, I'm thinking of kids nowadays, I'm calling them kids, but teenagers, things like that, they want to get into this industry. And they have this opportunity to actually engage with the people that inspire them to be intrigued by this, and they don't take that opportunity.
Right. It's all
I
out in
was,
front of them. They don't realize it. They don't
they
realize
don't
how
realize it.
what's there.
Like 6 months ago, last spring, I went to my old high school. I went to an arts program, and I just kind of dropped by because it was on my way to somewhere. Say hi to some of the teachers that are still around. Um, I was chatting with them, and one teacher said, "Hey, I have a class here. Um, a graduating class. Maybe they'll have some questions for you because you graduated 20 years ago. Because I'm old now. As to what you did after school." After finishing an arts program. So I never went into the visual arts professionally, right? I'm more in marketing, but so I was talking to people, and a lot of the kids there were into comic book or anime or cartooning and stuff like that. And then one of the questions I asked a couple, I'm saying like, you guys are Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. Who do you guys follow? Who do you who's the number one person you follow? And most of them were like Kardashian or things like that. Like, oh, not Tyler Perry, Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber and um, Kevin Hart. It's like, okay, yeah, those are all really entertaining things, but like, why aren't you following? Like, if you want to be a comic book artist or a cartoonist, why aren't you following Jim Lee? Why aren't you following uh, any of these guys? Why aren't you following the anime artists like Peach or um, what's his name? I can never remember his name. A Japanese artist does these weird perspective things with ink all out of his head. I can't
Ooh,
remember
I
his
don't
name.
I don't know.
Or like Carl Kapinski. I can't pronounce his name. Another fantastic artist, right? Like these guys, this is the people that you should be engaging with, not Kim Kardashian, not Kevin Hart. I
Right.
mean, yeah, it's entertaining content, but
And Yeah, it's fine to, have that entertaining content, but at the same time, yes, why are you not following these artists that have done the things that you want to do? And,
Yeah,
you can
like
see like when Jim Lee would post his rejection letters, that was like some of like the most powerful stuff that he posts, like talking about that kind of stuff, like how many times he got rejected by Marvel or whoever. And it's like
yeah,
this is hard work and these people have done it. So you need to pay attention to them if that's what you want to do.
and they're a lot more real and down to earth than you can imagine.
Especially a lot more real and down to earth than the Kardashians would probably be.
Yeah,
Nothing against them personally, but they're not going to be holding conversations on Instagram
they're
or
not going to give
Twitter.
you advice. If you message a couple of these guys with a sample of your work, yeah, maybe not all of them will reply, but somebody will.
Yeah,
And they're
that's
busy
it.
people and they have stuff, but like who like 20 years ago, if somebody told me, hey, you have the opportunity to send a sketch or a concept or character design to um, Alex Ross and have him give you feedback, I was like, are you kidding me? That's a huge opportunity,
Yep,
right?
yep. People just think it's so weird. Everything's at your fingertips, but at the same time, it's so overwhelming to some people to have information to so much data and so many people that it's just kind of it's hard to all kind of take in and it's overwhelming, but it's there and social media gives you the chance to be successful in a career that may have traditionally back in the day been much harder to break into because you don't have to go through the normal process of trying to break into Marvel or DC. If you have a cool idea and you work at it hard enough, it can go viral and you can turn that into something. So
Absolutely.
it's
Right.
there's just
Like,
so much opportunity.
I mean, even like you said, the way, one day you got a message on Instagram, hey, do you want to work on Upper Deck?
Yeah.
Right. I was the same thing. I was onboarded on Premiere as well, the same set as you. Like I said, a lot of other people just got a message on Instagram one day. Hey, would you be interested in this? I said yes. They could give us your email address. We'll send you details.
Yep. Got to put yourself out there and follow the people that you want to imitate, you want to be like.
Yeah,
That's why a lot of artists follow other artists
yeah,
because they love their work and they have things in common. And I mean, like I was saying earlier about making friends with others in the community, it's like those are your sounding boards for ideas, advice, and the other thing that early on when I was asking questions about how to get on to Upper Deck and the cards and everything, there was definitely some people that weren't very helpful and didn't really respond back. And I didn't hold that against anybody, but at the same time, I kept that in mind whenever anybody reaches out to me and asks me questions. I make sure that I don't do that because I know when I was in their position, that's what I needed. So that's why I always try and tell people and I put it in my posts. And, not a lot of times people ever take me up on it, but I'm like, hey, if you have questions about something and it's something that I can help with, I'm happy to help. I won't have all the
yeah,
answers, but if I do have answers, I'm happy to help you. And that's surrounding yourself with people like that is a really good thing to do.
yeah. Oh, and Paul says it. You never know who's watching you on social media, right?
That's true too.
Well, okay, in a creepy way and a normal way as well.
Yes, on a more personal level about that. We were I don't remember what it was. It was one holiday or something. And I have a pretty big family. I have a lot of siblings, and we were all together. And maybe it was a Zoom call when the pandemic broke out. But we were talking about social media for some reason. I was talking about my TikTok or something like that, and one of my sisters made the comment is you don't really know how close I pay attention to your social media. I was like, well, okay, that's kind of creepy. But I told her, I was like, well, if you're not sharing and following and liking my stuff, then you're not helping.
No, you're just being weird.
Yeah. But it's true. It's true. You don't know. And, and also the reason I want to try and help others too is because I want to foster that kind of environment. And I mean, not necessarily my community, but just people that I associate with online. If I'm helpful, they'll be helpful. And it kind of just grows from there. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
nice.
paid forward, right?
Yeah. And it's nice to just have people to, you can go to, you've got, you deal with similar things. Like I know we've all commiserated over certain things with sketch cards, like everybody deals with this or that. And it's nice to be able to share that with other people
Yeah.
and to kind of talk through some of the issues.
Yeah, and just knowing that you're not the only one that's having that challenge.
Right. Well, this was my attempt at Fat Thor, but I didn't really make him that fat.
So
More.
Brian is, I think, every opportunity he can, he says Fat Thor.
Oh, okay.
Sooner
I've
or
never
later,
drawn
someone's
Fat
gonna
Thor
have to do
before.
a Fat Thor.
I've
Um,
never drawn him before, so I wanted to try and just do a quick little sketch right here.
uh, Paul, no, I'm using acrylic paint. Um, I recently bought acrylic inks, which I want to try, but they're still sitting in their box next to my airbrush that I bought like 2 months ago.
I've been wanting to start try doing some ink wash stuff.
Yeah, I want to try that. Like if you see Adi Granov, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He did the Iron Man costume concept art, and he designed basically the way Iron Man looks in the MCU.
Okay.
Great guy, great artist, does comic book stuff, but um, he paints. Like he's a painter. He's actually one of the reasons I decided, I'm gonna do acrylic painting exclusively and figure out how this medium works. He's probably one of the main reasons. Well, him and Jusko. But he does a full, or for the most part, he'll do a full grayscale under painting, like get all the values. And this guy nails his values like no one's business. And
That's
then
awesome.
do the, I'll send you a link to his profile on Instagram.
Okay.
Um, he's another guy that's responsive. I mean, it might take him a while, but he'll answer. Um,
Cool.
yeah, so he'll do a full grayscale underpainting and then use acrylic inks to do the base colors over them because acrylic inks, I'm assuming like colored ink, um, they're transparent, well not fully transparent. So you'll get all the values underneath, and then he'll go
Oh,
over actual acrylics to bring in the highlights and the really dark values.
that's really cool. That's kind of like with the alcohol markers. Sometimes I've seen people will go with like a gray to do the values, and then they'll go over it with the colors, and it kind of,
Yeah, it's the same approach, and I mean it's the same. I mean if you go old school, you know, oil painting from the Renaissance, from the Gray Masters, it's the Grisaille technique, right? And whether you're using gray or blues or purples, you're creating the full underpainting and all the values and all the tones without having to worry about color. And then you just splash, you glaze color over it. And it is a good technique. I mean, it does take time because you got to build out the details.
hmm.
And some of the first cards that I did in acrylic, I try to do that technique, but I try to speed it up in not to build out the detail, and it doesn't look that great. So as time's passing, I'm getting more comfortable with it. But so far, I'm just diluting my paints with water, which does not give me the consistent coverage that I'm assuming ink will.
Yeah.
By working on a sketch card, it's okay because you don't need a lot of consistent coverage in one area. But also a reason why my stuff takes so long to make.
Yeah, that's one thing that kind of scares me away from painting these things is the amount of time that it would add to the process. But it's one of those things that I hate. Not a kind of I mean I grew up drawing and everything, and then I got out of it when I got a little bit older and got back into it again. And part of what I hate is since it's not my job, I don't really have the time that I want to be able to put in to learn and get better at certain things. It's kind of like you got to spend more time doing than you do learning.
Yeah. And you have kids, so you
Yeah.
got limited time to begin with.
I need to figure out a way to incorporate them into it more because my daughter is getting to the age where she likes it. There was a while on Instagram I was posting where we would work on something together. So she would pick the topic and then I would draw it and I would let her help me color it. And she really
Okay.
liked doing that. So I need to start doing that again more. But it was like I did something from Paw Patrol and a Minion and stuff like that. So it was like different things that I wouldn't normally draw, but it was fun.
Yeah, I mean that by itself is good, like you said with the bombshell, where it forced you to do something out of your comfort zone,
Hmm.
right? If you're
And
doing minions and whatnot.
And there's a lot of like what Scotty Young does. Like he has a lot of different styles that he draws in. Like sometimes it's more strict, like straight cartoonist, but like his stuff that he does, I'm always like so like seeing his stuff just like makes me go like, man, I would love to be able to do the little details that he does on some of these things. It's crazy. Like you when you see something that he's done, like there's no question it's his.
Yeah, he's got a very distinct style.
And like that, like I would like to, I still like drawing like the way that I draw, but I would like to be able to draw more similar to that. That's more like a strict kind of cartooning kind of thing that kind of doesn't throw anatomy out the window 100%, but it's more like, there's not as many rules. It's more about style, I
Yeah.
guess.
Are you familiar with what's his name? Trent Canuga?
Don't think so.
So he put out his comic called Creed when he was like 16 or 17. Um,
Creed.
that was something like 20 years ago. I'll message you the name, or let me.
Okay.
Um, I absolutely loved his style, and then you'll probably like it as well. Um, I don't know if there's a way for me to uh, do this without creating endless loop. Ah, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
You recognize that?
No.
No. Okay, so
But
that's like 20 years old, and yeah, I think he was
oh my God.
17 when he did that.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and I think he's a concept art. I think he does gaming stuff. He's also on YouTube. Not a great channel to follow. Um, I'll send you the link for that. But yeah, he did these big feet. Like all his characters had massive feet.
That's
And that was just
awesome.
his style. Kim, what is he working on now? Did he do Assassin's Creed?
Oh, that's cool.
No. Oh, hang on. Trent Yoga. Yeah, he does concept work now, and his style definitely refined. Have you heard of Twilight Monk?
That does, yeah.
Yeah, that's
That
his. That's his thing now. I think that's his
okay.
self-publication thing. Um,
I don't want to get in trouble saying this, but the older that I've gotten, the more I've gotten into trying to support the artists as opposed to the companies. So
right.
like I love finding stuff like that, like people's personal projects, or that's why I like buying artists art books too, because I feel like I'm supporting them more. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
I think as we all get older, we start appreciating or looking at things differently, and you no longer have a brand loyalty to the publisher. Like, oh yeah, Marvel. You're more like, oh yeah, Scotty Young, or you really support the the creators more than the guys that are making the money off of them.
yes.
Mm.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And
Paul.
one thing that's really cool about DC that I've noticed, I don't haven't seen anything lately, but they do like this line of like statues and busts and stuff that are like Artist Alley inspired. So they find artists to do stuff for them, and they're not necessarily comic book artists, but they're just artists with really cool styles, and they end up like making stuff with them.
Yeah, I think that's what I was mentioning earlier, that an artist that was doing like sketch cards and then DC made a set out of it. Maybe that's what it was. Because I remember somebody said, "Hey, here's an actual little statuette from DC based on my drawing of something," but it was kind of in that bombshell style.
Yeah, it's really cool that they do that. I don't know that Marvel does that, but I know that DC does. But that's one of those things, like you start buying one or two of those, and then you have 50 of them, and you're broke. And
Yeah, going back to trying really, really hard not to collect anything.
yep. Sometimes I'll buy things and say they're for my son when really I appreciate them a lot more than he does.
You're in the action figure aisle at Toys R Us saying, "Ooh."
Yes. Oh my gosh. When Toys R Us down here was closing and they were closing all the stores, I can't tell you how many times I went to look at the Disney Infinity figures and clear them out.
Those are, yeah, I mean, that's like right in line with your style, right?
Yes, I love those figures. And
Yeah,
what's really cool is if you Google, you can find some concept sketches for these characters too, and they don't all look like the finished figures. So you can find some really cool art.
I had a bunch of them that I picked up. Like I had it was Thor and Captain America, Venom, Hulk, um, some Star Wars one like the Darth. Yeah, that Venom, I love that Venom.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
Darth
got a lot of the Star
Vader.
Wars ones too. Star Wars ones are really good.
Some that were I've just found as I saw like at Best Buy or Walmart or wherever where they had them. And I'm like, oh, these are really, really cool. And then my business partner went ahead and had kids. And then one day he came by the office with his little kid, and I had them all up on the shelf, and he liked them, so they're his now.
Yeah, that's the
He's probably getting
downside of
more
that.
enjoyment out of them than I am,
That's
but
true. I do like to use them as some references somewhat because you can stick them under a light and turn them and things like that, and they can help you with
oh, for sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I gotta explain that to my girlfriend next time I buy an action figure. Oh no, it's for reference. It's not like no, no. And I'm keeping it in the
It's
box because it's
it's a
for
tax
reference.
write off.
Yeah, it's a tax write-off. Yeah, it's a business expense.
So Disney actually, when they canceled Disney Infinity, they relaunched a lot of these figures in a new line called Disney Toy Box. And so they remade a lot of the figures, but they just made them bigger and more art, and they have some articulation.
Okay,
So
because
that
these were
was
pretty fixed, right?
yes. So I'll show you because I've actually bought some of those too. They were totally for my son.
Yeah, it's all for a kid, right?
But yeah, I've got a couple of them. It's just the same kind of style, so like I really like them. But I had to stop buying them because too much. But like
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
it's funny because they they clearly just take these characters and do like the Miles is the Spider-Man figure. They just gave it a new paint job.
Yeah, it's the
So it's
same.
like the cash grab. And they even made a new Spider-Man version that was the suit from Spider-Man Far From Home, and it's the same figure. They just gave it a new paint job.
That's like, have you ever watched, I think Netflix has it, The Toys That Made Us?
Yes, that's a great series.
The the He-Man,
Yep.
the He-Man one, when they're like, yeah, we just grabbed all these different toy busts that we had from other stuff. It's like, yeah, here's a giant cat. How is it supposed to run? They're all saddle on them. We'll be fine. Spray paint this thing purple. It'll be okay. No one's gonna know it's My Little Pony or whatever.
Oh, what was that one character they talked about? It was the bee themed character that was like that stayed on the shelves that they couldn't sell.
Oh,
That
I can't
series
remember.
is
I
great.
remember the name for. I can't remember what the full character, but the original name for one of them was he was Seaman and Seaman and the Seaman, and he's like that was the original name, and then the marketing guys took it and they said, no, we can't do that.
Thank goodness somebody stepped up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Paul's saying every day he's talking about the figures. Paul has quite a collection of Batman the animated series figures. They're pretty awesome. I've seen him post them before, and they make me really jealous, but also make me realize that I would have no money if I was collecting all these. So I have to pick and choose and
Yeah.
pretend that they make great reference items.
Yeah. So on a separate, remember when I said, yeah, we try to do these streams like, 45 minutes to an hour?
Oh yeah.
Never,
Oh
never. Unless technology fails, never. But I don't want to hold you up. So if you need to bail, let me know. No hard
yeah.
feelings.
I probably do need to head down. I'm sure my wife is wondering where I am at the moment and wanting me to step in with the kids. But I
And I
had a
know I've been
great time.
trying to.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great, and I really appreciate you hopping on. And there's your Cyclops.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw him back in there.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested in that Cyclops, they can just DM you, I guess.
Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, you can just on Instagram, it's Art of Gordon Wills, or on Facebook, actually everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
There you go.
Just search that.
And you did say you're open for APs if someone wants to
Yeah,
chat.
if somebody wants to chat, let me know. We'll have to figure out a time frame just because I've got another set coming and just other stuff going on. But yeah, I'm definitely open to it, and I've got tons of APs. So just let me know.
Right on. And I know, Paul, thanks so much for sticking on from
Yeah,
beginning to
Paul.
end, pretty much. I'm trying to see if I can coordinate with Paul as well one day.
Yeah, you need to get
Um,
Paul on here. Paul's a really good dude.
that's what everyone says.
I mean, I'm a little
Um,
biased, but yeah,
yeah, and Gordon, if you ever want to hop on again, let me know. We'll figure out timing.
definitely.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know you were sold on drink and draw.
Well, the it's not necessarily the drinking part of it that sold me, but it's just the whole concept of just kind of hanging out and drawing is what is appealing to me because I don't have any like physical thing like that. Like where I live, there's nothing that I'm a part of. So it's just like getting with other artists and being able to just kind of, you know, hang out and draw is appealing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I started doing these. Is really just to be able to chat with people because I can't. Well, never mind that COVID, but um, there's nowhere for me to go and you know
Yeah.
do comic book stuff and chat with people. I can go in with a bunch of senior citizens and draw daisies, but I don't think the conversation would be as compelling.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yep. Well, all right. Well, we definitely need to do it again sometime.
yeah, man, hit me up. Let me know whenever you're up for it. I'm always around and we'll make it work. Anyone else who wants to hop on a stream, DM me. It's pretty simple setup. Um, and that's it. Everyone follow Gordon Wills at the art of G Wills.
Art of Gordon Wills.
Art of Gordon Wills on all the social media platforms. Open for commissions. Open for
Open for
conversation.
business. If anybody has any art questions or anything about stuff like that, yeah, don't be
Yeah,
shy.
follow them on
If
TikTok.
I can
Follow them on
help,
YouTube.
I'm happy to.
Right on.
All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for
All
joining.
right.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
Bye. Oh, there's my